Okay. So, a very good evening to all our attendees and viewers who are watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. A very warm welcome to the Author Saga series. A quick recap for those of you who are new to Pick a Book. Pick a Book is all about reading and more reading and inculcating the habit of reading, research, and presenting the summary of it in our regular meeting sessions. Creating a better world by changing the sense of self through the habit of reading is the vision of Pick a Book. Currently, Pick a Book marked its inspiring presence in four countries: Sri Lanka, India, Singapore, and UK, with over 1,200 plus readers, 19 regions, and 100,000 plus people inspired so far in our sessions. And Pick a Book continues to spread its wings across the globe. We have come up with this new initiative, a brand of its own called Author Saga series, wherein authors can reach their readers and individuals with like-minded interests, and authors can also discuss the key insights of their books, and the readers can have this wonderful opportunity to know more about the author book from the author himself. So quickly, our guest for tonight is Mr. Krishna Mohan Tata, and with his wonderful book, The Jar of Pebbles. So Krishna Mohan Tata was born into a middle-class family in late 60s, brought up in Bhubaneswar. He grew up like any other child of those times, climbing trees, flying kites, and hanging out with friends. So his passion of dreaming with eyes wide open led him to begin his entrepreneurial journey. Krishna is a co-founder and director of Gitanjali Awards. Gitanjali Awards designs, manufactures, and retails a wide range of awards, trophies, and mementos. Gitanjali Awards has carved a niche for itself and is a leading player in the awards and recognition industry. KMT, as his friends fondly call him, has a knack of spotting beauty in the most peculiar of places. He believes life is the greatest art there is. So, Krishna Mohan Tata's first book, A Jar of Pebbles, was recently released by His Excellency, the Governor of Odisha, Professor Ganeshi Lal at Raj Bhavan, Bhubaneswar. He is often found watching movies or sharing music playlists with his 15-year-old daughter. With business goals in mind in his head and romance of life in his art, Krishna sets out to understand and write about the good, sad, and funny that life offers. With this beautiful introduction I've ever read, I very warm welcome Krishna Mohan Tata once again onto the panel.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Swarna, for that lovely, lovely introduction. You really boosted my ego, and it feels so good to be introduced like that on your show.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely thing to know about that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so it's a pleasure. Okay, before we move on, let me take this opportunity, and in fact, the whole community of Pick a Book would like to congratulate you on this wonderful book, and we wish you a long way in writing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so your childhood seems to be very very interesting. Okay, so I have got a gist of what beautiful things you have done in your childhood, reading your bio. So is reading also a part of it?
Absolutely. We were voracious readers in our home. There used to be newspapers strewn around the house. My father used to sleep with a P.T. Wodehouse on his chest, and we used to, in those days we had these paper bags made out of newspapers. So we used to read those paper bags, tungas, which we would call, like tear them up
Okay.
and read something interesting. Reading comics, reading magazines. I remember walking miles to buy the latest Phantom comic or
Uh,
Mandrake, if you know, or like so many beautiful things, or like the latest copy of Sports Week, or the latest release by R.K. Narayan. So
yeah.
anything and everything would be read. Reading has always been a passion.
That's wonderful. Superb. We can always see that. Okay, so how did your journey as an author, author or writer start? So when did started feeling that I should now, write a book?
Uh, See, I was born in an era which had no internet. Forget about internet. There were no phones or anything like that. So So,
Yes.
and I went to school and I grew up in this town, beautiful town called Bhubaneswar. So,
Okay.
and in school, in those days we had ranks, like 1 to
Mm.
30 or 1 to 50. So I was in the bottom, list, right? From 15 to 30, you would find Krishna there somewhere. I was never in the top 15 or anything like that. I was
Okay.
never academically inclined, you know.
Okay.
And in class 9, I believe, I used to read a lot, and I always, then I felt I should write a book, and I wrote a small detective story which had a murder,
Okay.
which had a pistol, which had cops, which had the bad guys, the good guys. Of course, it was atrocious, and it had
Okay.
grammatical errors, and everybody laughed at it. But sometime during college,
Mm.
I wrote an essay, which was an inter-college competition, and I won a shiny medal and a certificate.
Okay.
And I had never won any medal or a certificate, and I wanted to show it to my dad.
Okay.
So there we were standing out in the open under the night sky. He was like Lion King, and I was like Mufasa. I timidly him, and of course, you're very proud when you. I never stood first in the class, or I never got. So I went
Yeah.
and showed him this medal and certificate, and I told him that I won this for an essay competition. He just patted me on my back, and it was so beautiful, that pat on
Okay.
my back. It felt so good because he was a great reader. He used to write, and he used to read so many Telugu books, so many Sanskrit books, so many English books, you name it, he would read it. And he had read that essay, and he said, he would never say you're good. He just patted. That pat on my back, meant a lot. So I realized that maybe I could write something. So, but then, you run into life, and I became an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, and I didn't have the time. But
Mm.
it was always, I'm a dreamer, and I always kept on dreaming. I would imagine, I would meet scores of people out there, and I found those. I wanted to express myself, and
Mm.
that's how the journey of an author began when I was a kid only, and it
Okay.
continues till date.
Wow, that's interesting. It's a very emotional story, I would say.
It is.
Yeah, you have narrated it so beautifully well. Thank you so much. Okay, so is there any story behind choosing this title, The Jar of Pebbles?
Yeah, definitely, yes. So you see, this book celebrates the ordinary.
Hmm.
My book, A Jar of Pebbles, there's something magical about the ordinary. On the
Hmm.
face of it, the ordinary is
Okay.
colorless, odorless, shapeless. But when you scratch the surface, the earthy fragrance and the colors will engulf you with joy and happiness. So I have always been fascinated by simple things, ordinary people, ordinary things. It may sound like a cliche, but happiness lies in simple things.
Oh, yes.
So about 5 years ago, I started writing uh, about my memories, about ordinary people, about life. And you see, these people are like pebbles, you know, and they won't be, you won't just notice them, but they are the heroes, they are the rock stars, they are the backbone of our society, and they
Yes.
need to be celebrated. And so, a friend of mine and me, we were brainstorming about the title, and she said, hey, you got a jar of pebbles. I said, why not a jar of pebbles? And as kids, I'll tell you something, Purna. So, as I told you, we never had any internet, so we would go out
Yeah.
and play, and we would collect those small, small pebbles,
Yes.
golden stones, we would say. And since we had no fancy toys, no Leo toys, at night we would switch off all lights and strike two stones, and two
Ah,
golden stones would emit some light, and they were
okay.
pebbles which
Okay.
I retained for a long, 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 long time before somebody threw it away. So so a jar of pebbles is a title which came to us, and I felt that this, because this is a book of slice of life stories, this celebrates the ordinary. There are
Okay.
36 stories which talk about life, which talk about memories, but everything is about simple people, simple joys, simple happiness, and like pebbles. So it's a jar of pebbles. So this is what the book looks like, and this is the cover
Beautiful.
of the book, a jar of pebbles.
It's a very beautiful color choice as well.
Yeah, yeah, it is. We spent a lot of time
Yeah,
designing the cover and everything. So every pebble has a story. Everybody has a
story.
story, and
Oh, yes.
celebrate the stories. That's
Wow,
how
beautiful.
pebbles the name was coined.
Okay, okay. It's a wonderful and kudos on that.
Yeah,
That's it's a very very connecting whenever you say those simple things matter. In fact, that's the beauty of life. It's always whenever you appreciate simple things, that's when you see the real beauty of life.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but often people miss that. So I think this book, your book, The Jar of Pebbles, right from the title, it's so intricate. So I think everybody must go through this book to definitely to understand that the real beauty of the real country. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I came across a chapter, an enigma called life. How do you resonate with such intricate daily life emotions and put it on paper?
See, learning is a continuous process, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you might have passed out of school, you might have passed out of college, you might have gone to the best B school in the whole world, but you learn something every day.
Yes.
Uh, so one of the stories in my book is called The Imperfect Roti. You know,
Hmm.
so,
Okay.
one evening I was making rotis, and making rotis is one hell of a tough job. Like
Yes.
all of them were shaped imperfectly. They were like maps, they were like squares, they were like rectangles, they were like broken pieces, but
Maybe.
anything but a goal perfect roti.
Yes.
So, at that point of time, a friend called and I took it out on her. I shouted at her. Then she said, "Go and have your imperfect rotis." And that is when it struck me that
Hmm.
life is beautiful when we accept our very own imperfect rotis. You know, so, like as I write, like some of us may be short, some of us may not be good at the PPT, some of us may not be good in presentations, some of us may not be a champion, some of us
Hmm.
may be a failure in cooking, some of us may be not good at math, but
Yeah.
we have to accept our imperfect rotis. And this is a lesson, like pretty recently, 3 years ago, like this thought came. So life is beautiful when we accept our very own imperfect
Imperfect release.
rotis. So, so I've always been fascinated by what is this life. I keep popping this question to different
Okay.
sets of people. So once I pop this, like there's a chapter called "What is Life," and an enigma called "Life," as you rightly said. So in that,
Hmm.
I popped this question to Lakshmi, a lady who irons my clothes. We call her a dhobi.
Okay. Okay.
So she was ironing my clothes, and she had bought 2 cups of tea, one for her glasses of tea,
Yeah.
and she brought 2 Mary biscuits, and I was having a Mary biscuit, and she was having a Mary biscuit, and then I popped that question: "Hey Lakshmi, what is this life here? Sometimes I'm all confused." Then she was holding that biscuit, and she looks at me and says, "Life is like this Mary biscuit." I said, "What?" Then she said, "Yes. Sometimes when the tea is hot, I get to dunk it and the biscuit tastes good. Sometimes the tea goes cold, and when I dunk it, it's tasteless. And sometimes I just eat it like it, but it is over in no time. So
Um,
make the most of it before it gets over." Such beautiful analogy from a person you would never think that
oh yes.
analogy would come from. Just imagine. You see, like how many of us go and talk to people like that? How many of us would go and ask a lady who irons clothes a question like this: "What is
Yes.
life?"
Yes.
But here she is, and I think it's a $1 million answer. You know, like
Exactly.
yeah. So like answers like this, like there's a story which I wrote called the Swargrath. Once I was driving, it was at a traffic signal, and there's this hearse. I'm in a vehicle which carries the last human mortal's remains, a dead body.
Mm.
So
Mm.
there was that human being who was swimming, and there were four people sitting around him, and all of them were busy on the cell phones. And there was an ATM van beside that hearse, and it was
Mm.
also surreal. There were LED lights on that, and I rolled down the window because it felt so suffocating. And there was this couple on the scooter, and the
Mm.
husband was telling the wife, "Ki, yeah, see, this is nobody should die in the evening. It becomes terrible for the other people." So here we were dissecting death in a very normal manner, whereas some people were crying, and here we were,
Yeah.
it was also surreal. So yes, life is an enigma, and it throws up so many emotions. It shows us so many things,
Yes.
and of course, life is also very beautiful, and we get to learn
Yeah.
so many things. So yes, so I can go on and on. So I've written many pieces, which life stories from life generally. So yeah.
So very beautiful. I just can't stop enjoying every word or every emotion you are saying about very common people. We often think that uh, you know that's a myth. I think so, because see, we often think that the people who does this no menial jobs, like how you narrated Adobe, or the person who the
I'll
maid
give
like.
you. I'll tell you
Huh.
another story which I wrote. It's about there's a like on Shivaratri a couple of years back, a drain was clogged.
Mm.
So there's this chap called Shankar. So we called him, and he was cleaning the drain. So then he's the neighbor upstairs was also standing there, and he said that I'm fasting, I have to go. So then
Okay.
the other chap, the neighbor, says that, um, how can you do a dirty job and do fasting? So,
Uh,
so this chap, he looks up at him and he says, I'm a trained doctor, and this is my duty. I've come
uh,
for surgery. So,
okay.
so people, such a beautiful thing, you see, and
Yes.
it touched me a lot. So I wrote his story. Like, here
Okay.
is a man who takes great pride in what he does. He's
Absolutely.
and he's saying that, why can't I fast? And the
Mm.
other person said, you're doing a dirty job. So for you, if I somebody has to do the dirty job, somebody has to be a doctor. So there's a
Absolutely.
story about Shankar in my book, like these are the kind of people, like which I
Yeah.
write about. So,
So they are the great life lessons. That's the beauty. Often we often miss seeing all these things. We don't care, actually. See, the problem is, you are so fascinated about these little things, or the life, what life is according to everybody. But a lot of people, don't really bother what's going on with the people around. So they're too busy making money, or too busy doing something else. But they are actually missing out the life lessons which we get from the people around us. Oh, that should open a lot of eyes now.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful, wonderful. Okay, so you also said that you're a fan of movies, and I've read it from your bio, music, and the creative world, and some stories about are a tribute to that world. Would you like to say about this a little more?
absolutely. I have whistled across theaters in the country. so, I'm a diehard movie buff.
Okay.
So I don't know, like if you ever belong Amitabh Bachchan. I'm a huge fan
Uh,
of Amitabh, like
okay.
most of us.
Yeah.
So there was this movie called Shehenshah, which
Hmm.
released after a brief hiatus. Amitabh had quit acting, and then he came back. This movie called Shehenshah. So
Okay.
when this movie released, like people had lined up 2 days before, you know,
Mhm.
for the tickets. Of course, then you didn't have Book My Show, you didn't have
Yes.
internet,
Yes.
stand in a queue and get the tickets. So
Yeah.
and so when the movie, like you had reels,
Uh,
which would
yes.
be projected. So 3 o'clock, like there were people selling tea and a lot of things. Early in the morning, the print arrived, and
Mm.
there was a pandit who did puja, and by 9 o'clock, there was chaos because
Yeah.
tickets, there were lathi charges and everything. So tickets were
Okay.
sold out. So, and I came back home dejected, and I was
Oh.
sitting home, and I didn't know what to do. So, and then the milkman, young chap. He comes in, and he says, "Why do you?" So my grandmom and me went out, and he says, "Why do you look so dejected?" So I
Mm.
looked at him and said, "Hey, I really want to see Shahenshah, so but
Mm.
there are no tickets." So this chap is a bare-chested chap, and he's wearing a dhoti. So he had tied something around at his dhoti. So he opened it and showed me those two pink tickets. I don't know whether you've seen those two pink,
Ah,
those small pink colored papers, patla
okay.
papers. That used to be like that then. And
Okay.
then and then I said, "Hey, you have tickets?" He said, "Yes, I have tickets." And I said, "But the show begins at 11 o'clock." It was already 10:45. So I sat on his cycle with all milk cans, and jingling, jangling, we went into the stand. He said, and just before we entered the theater, he said, "You have to remove your shirt." I said, "Why?" "Now, because watching this movie with all milk men, and they don't want an English medium type fellow wearing shirt pant. You have to come with us. You have to be with us like us." And that's how I was there, and I was whistling with 50 milkmen sitting in the front rows, and रिश्ते में तुम्हारा बाप है नाम है शहनशाह. I think I had a sore throat that day. I mean, like, I screamed like mad. So this is a memory of mine, which is very fascinating because A, I enjoyed the film. B,
Yes.
the kind of ambience, like when you're sitting with people, here were kids, like young people and all of them. Normally, we never look at the front row people, but
Ah,
the kind of, like he gave me the tickets and he refused to take the money for the ticket. He,
ah,
of course, we became great friends, but he refused to take the money. He said, "I'm taking you. You have to come with
okay.
me." And
Okay.
you're my friend. And that is a fascinating memory of movies. And
Mm.
you feel like music and all, like other day after the pandemic, just like after the first lockdown, I was driving around in my car, and so I parked, and there was this small mini truck, and there was this song playing, Divara, that song
Mm.
from Bahubali. So the Sanskrit sloka. Then I did my fingers like this at the driver and said, "I love that song." I rolled down my window. Then that fellow, there was a 2 minute wait. And that fellow asked me, "Do you know the meaning of that song?" "No, I don't know. I don't know the meaning of the Sanskrit sloka." I said, "I know the meaning." Then he said, like this Monkey King, he wanted valor, and he went and prayed, and he told me the meaning, explained me the meaning, and I was
Mm.
amazed. Then I asked him, how the hell did you learn the meaning? So I was in my village, lockdown. I watched
Okay.
movies, and my grandfather is a Sanskrit professor. He taught me. So someday this truck driver. So you see, like he was very happy to tell that I know the meaning of this song. He just wanted to tell.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's a connect. Music is a passion. So be it any
Yeah.
genre, be it a
Mm.
classical song, or be it a Rahman song, or be it a
Mm.
Telugu song, or an Angrezi song, it's a passion. And movies, when the flickering images dance on the screen to the beat of
Yeah.
Dolby, it's sheer magic. Yes. So their way into the book.
Wonderful. No wonder. You are so beautiful in narrating it that, your expression is showing up all your interest towards that. In fact, that craziness is being shown through
Absolutely.
your expressions and words.
You won't find a more crazier chap than me. That's what I always say.
That's a beautiful way of living. Actually, if you start enjoying every little thing, from right from the scratch, so you can actually, live the life to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Live every moment. That's what I always say. Because
Yeah.
you see, like there are so many crazy things happening. Of course, the
Oh,
pandemic hit us
yes.
very, very hard. So there is joy in simple things. Like, sometimes, you may be in a five-star dinner, but
Mm.
you crave for that humble dal roti pulihari, isn't it?
Mm.
Because
Yes.
it's like you don't want, and sometimes you may be in an exotic vacation in an exotic resort, but you want to run away and go to a small pond. It happens to
Yeah.
all of us.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, it
Mm.
happens to all of us. Only thing, we don't want to listen to it sometimes because we are already booked into that five star hotel.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah,
True.
those big events. So
Exactly.
so lit-
Beautiful.
yeah.
Good. Okay, so you are an entrepreneur, right? You have your own firm. So how did writing attract you? We understood that writing is also a passion for you, right, from your childhood. So after being an entrepreneur, how did you balance these two?
Yeah. So yes, like as I told you, like I'm the director of an organization called Gitanjali Awards, where we make awards, trophies, and mementos.
Mm.
Our tagline is recognition is always treasure,
Yes.
and I so like I've always been a dreamer, as I told you, like
Mm.
imagination, everything. Like if I look at the thing, then I start imagining, like how would it be when I talk to a person. I wanted to express my thoughts, like, and
Mm.
being in this industry, we meet so many people who are honored, who are recognized for their efforts, and I always wanted to tell their stories, like
Mm.
uh, put them into words. And I said, why not? So my partner, business partner, BP, as I call him, is a wonderful, wonderful guy. And he
Mm.
said, he calls me Tata. He said, Krishna, Tata, go ahead and write. And you write what writing is, as you know, like as most of the authors out here would know, it doesn't happen. Sometimes it comes out in a flow, sometimes it might take months, and
Yes.
sometimes finding that perfect word or something like it might happen at midnight. So
Yes.
it's so, but yes, so balancing that is a tough ask. But being an entrepreneur and finding so many people in the recognition industry and so many stories to tell, I felt that these stories have to be told. And uh, people, and these are like 36 slice of life stories, and which people can read each story in say 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And so I felt like writing the stories, and with a fantastic business partner, and great support behind my back from my siblings, from my younger brother, my younger sister, by my
Okay.
friends. All I started writing small pieces on the social media, and all of them felt, you should come make a compilation, you can create a difference. And it got into my head, you see, like when friends like that pat you on your back, and siblings kick you and say, ask you, go to you to
Yes.
write, so why not write? So I said, I will write. I took out the time, and I started writing. And this is a journey of 5 years of writing this book. It didn't happen overnight. It happened
Yeah.
slowly over a period of 4 5 years. And a jar of pebbles is a collection of stories which I've written over 5 years.
Wonderful, beautiful, as beautiful as the pebbles in the jar. Okay, so so you have taken this 5 years of span to write this whole book. Okay, so for any author, writing is one part, publishing is another biggest part. Finding a publisher and getting the book outside to the world, that's, I think, the biggest factor. Having been spoken to a lot of authors, they say writing is the much easier part, when compared to bringing out to the public. So what is your experience on it? How it happened for you?
Yeah, so like you're absolutely right. So you can write, but compiling it, putting it up, it takes a lot of determination and a lot of effort. It's a huge challenge, because you see, like for first time authors, authors who haven't carved a niche, or are not belonging to the bracket up there. So it's very, very tough. But I came across a publisher called Ketaki Foundation, a fantastic person called Jyoti, who also
Mm.
happens to be the designer who passed
Okay.
out from KJ School of Art, and he's the guy who designed my book. And
Okay.
so writing is one part. Then editing, you have to edit it, right? You have to
Yes.
make it. You have to rule out, iron out all the glitches. You have to correct
Mm.
the grammar. So my siblings, I had a Lagan team,
Okay.
so fantastic team without whom the book wouldn't have been possible. Like my
Okay.
siblings, Murli and Madhavi, a friend called Sujata, who's an editor in a IT company who heads
Okay.
editing. And then so many of my friends who said, like a friend called Ravi, who said that you have to arrange, like this portion first, this story has to come here, this story has to come here, and you have to put it like that. So a big thank you to Ravi, a big thank you to Sujata, Murli, Madhavi, and of course my business partner BP. So these guys, like, and then once we edited the book and designing the cover, designing how should the font. If you look at my book, we have made sure that it's of a particular standard,
Mm.
the quality
Okay.
standard. So
Yeah.
paperback. So and like when we published it, we decided we put it on Amazon and we decided to have the Kindle edition also. We felt that it should reach out to other people that someday I might become a rock star and people might read everything. So you know, that started acting like a thing. So you said everybody, my Lagan team said that you're thinking too much. Yes, let us publish both the paperback as well as the Kindle edition. We will do,
Yes.
and all of them believed in me, and they made me believe in myself, and that is what you see. For any writer, I think he or she should believe in herself. That is the
Yeah.
biggest thing, takeaway I could say. Like, if you believe in yourself, you can just about do anything, and that the proof is a jar of pebbles. This will happen. I will believe in myself.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
Beautiful. Beautiful.
that's the way it happened.
Great. So all kudos to your Lagan team, I would say, from me, from Pick a Book, for bringing this jar of pebbles out to the public. So yeah, so we have to be grateful to your to the people around you who so helped you to in bringing this up.
Yeah.
Great. That is beautiful. Okay, so finally, before we end this session, so I would like to ask one more question. You have already experienced enough life. You have already caught the right way of living the life. You have started enjoying every little thing, and you believe in so. Okay, for this fast-paced generation, who doesn't connect to whatever you said so far, so they think they are in a very fast-paced life. Who will bother to bring the window down and just appreciate the other person and ask him to the meaning of it, and you so appreciated that the person got to know of it in spite of being a very normal background. So that kind of a life, this generation is almost not there. So how do you what do you want to say to them?
I would say, like, I would ask them to go slow, enjoy the little moments, because you see, like, what's happening in this rat race is, um, without knowing, most of us are stumbling and falling and scraping our knees, injuring ourselves. Like, so many things are happening. You see, like, so many people, so many burnouts happening out there, and the peer pressure of, like, like, it's all instant glory is not there. Like, you have to, like I said, life is beautiful when we accept our very own imperfect routines. The minute we realize that, even I may have coined that, but even I haven't really come to home truth with it. But yes, for today's generation, yes, you have to be adept at technology. You have to be adept at, but breathe, breathe in,
Yeah,
breathe out, because there is beauty out there. Grasp the
absolutely.
beauty. It doesn't mean that everybody is going to LA or Las Vegas or Singapore, or just because everybody is buying that designer denims, or everybody is bought that fancy car, you also have to reach there. No, there is life above and beyond that. There is,
Yeah,
you have to acceptance. You don't need to run, with the bandwagon. You don't need to jump onto the bandwagon. You can carve out a niche for yourself. Everybody can. All of us can. We just have to look at it.
yeah,
And happiness, as I said, lies in simple things. If we can
yeah,
accept that, and look at those simple things and breathe that happiness, all of us can be happy. Yes, I know it's tough. All of us have a bad day. All of There are so many important things happening out there. It's not always possible to just forget it, but we have to move on. Unless we
yes,
move on, things won't change. Being happy happiness is a state of mind, and we can be happy if you want to be, if you really want to be, and just wipe out those dark things. There is darkness, but you have to wipe it out, move on, and slow down a little bit, and you'll enjoy. Sip the coffee, enjoy the book with the rustle. Have your cup of filter coffee with the rustle of the newspaper, with the fragrance of the early morning. Nothing like it, isn't it? You, you can if you want to. So I'm sure everybody realizes it over a period of time. If
yes,
we just stop, breathe, and listen.
Yeah.
Yourselves, your own heart.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, so beautiful, so beautiful, wonderful. That's amazing, amazingly beautiful. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this beautiful book, we had an amazing conversation today. In fact, I was spellbound, by the way, Mr. Krishna Tata is like, taking us through those journey of the beauty of life, I would say, through little things which we often miss out. We only look at the bigger things in life, and miss out these all these simple journeys or simple elements, before we reach that level. So while in your entire journey, you just catch hold of all these little pebbles, and you will finally, when you reach there, you will feel that you have enjoyed the life to the fullest. So that's very beautifully said. And thank you so much, Mr. Krishna Mohan
Thank you,
Tata.
Swarna. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for asking me. I had a great time on your show, and I would ask all of you to read my book and tell me how you liked it, and if it puts a smile, if it tugs your heart,
yeah.
puts a smile on
Mm,
your lips, brings a tear into your eye, and moves you and makes you happy. Nothing like it. Thank you so much,
absolutely.
Swarna, for having me on your show. It means a lot.
Thank,
Thank you,
thank,
ladies and gentlemen, for watching this. Thank you.
yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such, the valuable sharings today. And ladies and gentlemen, quickly grab this book. Like how Ms. Krishna Mohan said, it's available on Amazon in both paperback and the Kindle version for all types of generations. So go ahead, grab it. I'm sure you will love it, because it more looks like an emotionally packed journey. So that's how humans can easily get connected to that. So thank you so much, and I wish you all a happy reading. Read books, read more books, and we will bring you more and more such lovely books, and the conversation with such lovely authors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.